I stood frozen with 83 people staring at me. My future mother-in-law, Diane, had just raised a champagne glass, beamed like she was delivering the happiest news of the world, and announced, "I think everyone deserves to know before the wedding. I'm finally going to be a grandmother." The ballroom erupted. Applause. Whistles. My maid of honor threw her arms around me so hard I nearly dropped my glass. Across the table, Mark, my fiancé, didn't smile. He stared at his mother, then at me, face pale. Not happy, not proud, just stunned, because he didn't know I was pregnant. No one was supposed to know. Not yet. Not like this. And the truth sitting in my purse, folded inside an envelope, was that the baby she was toasting wasn't his. Diane had just announced the end of our engagement, and she had no idea. I'm a CPA. Numbers have always made more sense to me than people. Numbers don't lie. People do. I'd been with Mark for 3 years. He was the kind of man everyone called a catch. Opened doors, remembered birthdays, volunteered on weekends. My own brother told me if I didn't marry him, I'd never find better. And for a long time, I believed that. His mother, Diane, treated me like the daughter she never had. She called me sweetheart. She made sure I never left her house hungry. On my 26th birthday, she gave me a pearl necklace that she said had been in their family for generations. "I want you to wear it on your wedding day," she said, fastening the clasp. I cried. My own parents were gone. That necklace felt like belonging. 3 months before the wedding, Mark and I had a fight that spiraled. Ugly words. A 2-week break. I was devastated, alone, and I made a mistake. A one-night stand with a stranger during a work trip. Something born entirely of grief. Mark and I reconciled, but I never told him. I convinced myself the past could stay buried. Then 6 weeks ago, I found out I was pregnant. I didn't know whose it was, but I knew I couldn't live a lie. So I did what a CPA does. I gathered evidence. I took a non-invasive prenatal paternity test at 9 weeks, using a kit I ordered online. I swapped Mark's toothbrush for his DNA, sealed the sample, and sent it off. 3 days ago, the results arrived. Mark was excluded as the father. The baby wasn't his. I planned to tell him. After the rehearsal dinner, in private, I'd confess everything, return the ring, and accept the consequences. I was terrified, but I would not trap a man into raising another man's child. I just never imagined someone else would announce it first. In my purse that night, along with the DNA envelope, was a letter my mother wrote before she died. One line had always been underlined. Never stay where trust has to be earned back every morning. It anchored me. Truth costs, but lies cost more. The pearl necklace Diane had given me sat at my throat. I'd wrapped the positive pregnancy test in tissue and tucked it inside the velvet box that once held those pearls, a strange, poetic hiding spot. I thought it was safe. It wasn't. 6 weeks earlier, I started noticing things. Mark grew distant. Whenever I mentioned the wedding, he'd deflect. Whenever I kissed him, he'd hold me a little too long, almost like guilt. Then, 4 weeks ago, I came home early and found my closet door ajar. The velvet jewelry box had been moved. The clasp on the pearl necklace was bent. The tissue wrapping the pregnancy test was gone. Someone had opened it, seen the test, and carefully replaced everything, but not carefully enough. I took photos, dates, times. I built a silent file. 2 weeks ago, I was helping Diane with wedding invitations. Her phone buzzed on the table. A preview flashed. "Mark, did she tell you yet?" "Diane, no. After the rehearsal. It'll be easier then." They were coordinating, waiting, planning to corner me in public so I'd have no choice but to smile and accept their version of my life. They thought the baby was Mark's, and they intended to use that against me. I called my best friend Sarah that night. Sarah, who'd been my anchor since college, who held me together after my parents died and never once let me face a storm alone. She came over with takeout, listened to everything, and never judged the mistake I'd made. She'd been through her own betrayal years ago, a fiancé whose family tried to control her, so she recognized the signs before I even finished explaining. When I showed her the DNA results, she squeezed my hand. "You are going to tell him anyway. That's what matters." "I was going to tell him tonight," I whispered. "Then you still can. Just differently. Truth doesn't have to be a trap. Diane made it one. You can make it your freedom." She reminded me who I was. A woman who faced her problems, even when it hurt. The evening of the rehearsal dinner, Sarah and I arrived early. I excused myself to use the restroom, but instead I slipped into the hallway near the bridal suite. The door was ajar. Inside, Diane was on the phone, her voice low and triumphant. "Yes, I found the test weeks ago. I've been keeping it quiet, letting her think everything's fine. Mark knows what to do. Once I announce it in front of everyone, she'll be trapped. She'll have to go through with the wedding. And when that baby comes, she'll belong to this family permanently." A pause. "No, she has no idea. She probably thinks I'm just an excited grandmother. Let her. The announcement comes first. Then she can't back out. Mark will be a father. Our legacy will continue. And whatever doubts I had about her will be silenced." She didn't say the word paternity. She didn't need to. She believed completely that the child was Mark's, and she was weaponizing that assumption to cage me. I recorded every word on my phone. An hour later, Diane stood, glass raised. The announcement fell like a hammer. Applause swelled. Mark looked at me, not with joy, but with the panicked expression of a man following a script he never wrote. I let the clapping die. Then I stood. I think Diane deserves more applause. The room clapped again, uncertain. I took the microphone. Because she somehow knows something I never told anyone. Silence. I looked at Diane. "You announced my pregnancy." She gave a practiced, wobbly smile. "Well, a mother just knows these things." I shook my head. "No? You know because you went through my jewelry box." I held up a photo of the bent clasp. "You unwrapped a positive test that I'd hidden, then put everything back badly." I held up the test. "This is mine. You had no right to it." Gasps. Diane's face drained. Then I turned to Mark. His eyes were wide, pleading. "She told you to play along," I said quietly. "You didn't even know I was pregnant until she found out, did you?" He shook his head, voice cracking. "Emily, I raised my hand. "But you knew she was planning an ambush tonight. You read her messages. You knew she was going to corner me in front of everyone, and you let her?" He had no answer. "Because there wasn't one." I pulled the DNA envelope from my purse. "I didn't tell you because I was terrified, and because I was trying to do the right thing. I made a mistake, a one-time mistake during our break, one I was going to confess tonight, privately, before the wedding. I wanted to give you the truth without an audience." I unfolded the report. "This is a prenatal paternity test. I took it 3 weeks ago. The results came back 3 days ago." I looked at Mark. "I'm so sorry. You are not the father." The room inhaled as one. Mark's face didn't just go pale, it shattered. First confusion, then the raw, gutting sting of betrayal as he realized what that meant about the break he'd already forgiven. I saw the hurt flash through him, the kind that has nothing to do with paternity and everything to do with trust broken in the dark. I'd wanted to tell him gently, in private. Diane stole that from both of us. A wave of shock rolled through the crowd. Mark staggered back a step. His mother dropped into a chair, mouth open. I turned to Diane. "You thought you were announcing your son's child. You were trying to force me into a marriage I was already planning to exit honestly. You invaded my privacy. You conspired with him to ambush me. And tonight, you exposed your own family's cruelty to 83 witnesses. I lifted the pearl necklace from my throat, walked over, and placed it gently in her trembling hands. You gave me this to make me feel like family. But family doesn't set traps for each other. I looked around the room. I came here prepared to apologize for my mistake, but I will never apologize for refusing to be caged. Mark didn't speak. Couldn't. His eyes were wet, fixed somewhere between heartbreak and the ghost of the life we'd almost had. Diane's silent tears were not of guilt, but of exposure. Sarah walked up, took my arm, and together we turned toward the doors. I didn't run. I didn't scream. I walked out in my wedding dress, head high. Behind us, 100 conversations erupted, but I didn't look back. Outside, I pulled my mother's letter from my purse. The underlined sentence glowed under the streetlights. Never stay where trust has to be earned back every morning. Sometimes the life you lose is only the life that was trapping you. The truth, even when it's hard, leaves evidence. And tonight, I set us both free. Mark from a lie he never chose, and myself from a family that only wanted a version of me they could control. If this story reminded you that the truth always leaves evidence, make sure you subscribe to Lineage of Lies and hit record. Because around here, every lie eventually meets the one person willing to prove it.